going to be needed here against Canberra. Henjack back after injury. The key man up against his old club, Canberra, and he'll link at halfman 5'8" with young Jason Taylor. Bobby Ledner looking like a trotter, looking to get to the lead early in this match maybe. Farah, that knee injury of his wasn't any major concern, thankfully, after the match last weekend. And what is becoming part of the norm here on Nissan Friday night, fireworks going off overhead as Canberra hit the field, and the Raiders with a few changes and missing some great talent, but still they're able to put out a side that would probably be favourites in the betting to start this match. Ricky Stewart, his kicking game will be the key for them. Lazarus starting to get back to his top fitness, still yet to lose some weight. Here at Campbelltown, a minute's silence for a life member of the Western Suburbs Club who passed away last Sunday. Podgy McGuinness played over 100 games and a New South Wales rep in 1941-42. Whilst the crowd's upstanding here, we also stand by for the playing of the national anthem. Here at Campbelltown tonight, and that was the Aids High School Band, who did a fine job also entertaining the crowd before the kickoff. Ian Parnaby is the man in charge of this match. He controlled the Canberra clash last weekend. He gave the Raiders the penalties, 15-3. So he just waits for the band to clear the field. Western Suburbs at home against Canberra. Meninga with the start. Henjack, his first touch of the ball in weeks. Straight into his old teammates. Up very quickly, Canberra. Wasn't much of a 5 metres.
I think we'll see Western Suburbs really adopt the Warren Ryan no-frills style of football tonight. They've been beaten by 3 points, 4 points and 2 in their last 3 games. That's not a big margin, and if they can hang in there tonight, they could worry this Canberra side.
Down to McDonald. It's very early in the season, though, Pete, to be playing a grand final virtually.
It certainly is, but Warren Ryan has taken time to settle in, and they could have beaten Norths, they could have beaten Manly, and they should have beaten St George. So it's not all that bad when you look at it.
Lazarus, 4 completed rounds in the Winfield Cup for both these sides. For and against. Western Suburbs 57 and 60 against Canberra. 86-4, 65 against. The better attack for the Raiders. In fact, they're equal second in attack with St George behind the Penrith Panthers. Todd gets it out quickly. Wood quick hands. Gale. McDonald joining in. Forced to the sideline. Taken on the last tackle now. One more, Stewart with the kick. Midfield bomb. Towering bomb coming down for Devine. He's under it, takes it well. Plenty of composure from young Sean Devine.
Yes, he knew exactly where he was, and he went down low, took the ball to his chest, and of course, that is restarted with a tap from the quarter. Wests have got to play this game hard and tight up the centre. If they get in a running game with Canberra, they'll be murdered.
The Magpies. 32 metres out from their own line. Gibbs. He gets it to 40 metres away. Taylor. Gillespie run around with Taylor. Farah with another kick. Raiders are trying to put some pressure onto him. McDonald. Running confidently. Todd. Up the middle, taken. Wrapped up by Gillespie.
Wayne Pearce, you've tipped an upset by Western Suburbs. If Canberra are to win this game, Meninga, Stewart, Lazarus and Walters have to have big games.
Yeah, those players are very important. I think the key man of that group is Mal Meninga. All reports are he was a little quiet last week, and Mal has never been known to put 2 bad games together in a row, so look for him for a big game tonight.
The kick away from Devine. Mullins on the chase. Off the knees of Devine. Just touched the chalk. Well, he took the first kick well, but he took a mile of time here and nearly made a mess of it.
Yeah, he certainly did. He took it too easy, and I think Mullins really impeded him a little bit there. There's Mullins, gangly type winger, looks exactly like his dad, the former Bill Mullins, who was such a great try scorer for Eastern Suburbs in the 60s and 70s.
Barnhill breaking from the scrum. So important for them to get that feed. Meninga involved from the start, 5 metres out from the line. Trying to fire up the Raiders. Coyne getting it to Lowry. Lowry just a couple of metres away now. Stewart calling for a switch. To his back line, throws the dummy. Nobody home. Didn't even have to knock on the front door. They presented him with the keys. I don't know, this was too easy, Pete.
It certainly was. Ricky Stewart, who of course has got a marvellous dummy, but brilliantly just straight through the gap, and too many Western Suburbs players lay off Ricky Stewart.
Well, the West defensive ploy are moving up quickly out wide, let them down here. Bobby Linder obviously saw a gap out wide. He went across to try and cover, and Ricky Stewart just took the gap.
Nissan replay covered this beautifully. All the defence went looking out wide, and Stewart saw the timber work. What a start for the Raiders.
Tony Rampling was the big culprit there. He just cast an arm out at Ricky Stewart, and he should know better. He's one of the most experienced forwards in that Western Suburbs pack.
Meninga. He got involved in an early play to try and fire his side up. He's done just that. Now right in front of the post. He's got 7 goals in 91. This is a present. Well, from right in front of the post, make sure we lob that one. Meninga, incredibly, from right under the black dot. It's 4-0, it should be 6, but this is right in front.
You can see the disappointment on the face of Mal Meninga.
Taylor back to halfway. Meninga. He was shaky at the start of the season with the kicks. Timmy Sheens ruefully looking on, the Canberra coach. Bringing it back out, the Raiders. Well, it happens to the best of them. Meninga straight back into the action. Get it off his mind. Lazarus. The Raiders working it away from this danger zone. Starting the match confidently. And another good kick from Stewart sends Devine across. We'll have the Magpies back to their 22, but they were never back 10. Reminder, when the kick goes downfield, they've got to stay 10 metres away. He's back to his 22. Still hasn't started to run. Well and truly, only 5 metres away. That's the old rule.
Certainly was the old rule there. Wayne Pearce, a lot of rumours that Ricky Stewart is carrying an injury into this game, and Western Suburbs certainly didn't test him out when he waltzed through that huge gap for that try.
That's right, he didn't have far to move, but rumours are pretty strong that he has taken the field going into this match with a groin complaint that may come against him later on in the match. But I think that the area that they've got to put some pressure on him is in that kicking game. I mean, if they let him get his big kicking game, they're going to be in trouble.
Rampling knocked it on. The Raiders have it. Stewart. Well, now the Raiders lose it. West will get another chance. Devine. Big numbers out there. Lindner can't get it out, wrapped up by his Kangaroo skipper Meninga. On the 22. Taylor stepping back in, but buried by Lazarus. Gillespie running with support from Gibbs. Meninga's been in everything, attack and defence. Taylor. Lindner. Went without it. Thomas keeps it alive. Flicked out. Look at the numbers for the Magpies. Devine will get there. The Magpie supporters go wild as they get the reply. And they kept it alive beautifully. But it was the Raiders who had come up with an error earlier.
Yes, the error on the Nissan replay was by Gary Coyne, but good play by Western Suburbs. Young Jason Taylor kept it alive to Joey Thomas. Thomas out to the support out wide, and there were big numbers. You called it, Graham, but Sean Devine, who's got a terrific sidestep, didn't need it, raced in for the try.
Yeah, Western Suburbs here just simply kept the ball alive. Great work from Jason Taylor to pop the ball up. The ball goes out here. Good little flick from Tony Rampling, but the Canberra side were outgunned with numbers, and Sean Devine here tights the gap and goes over for the try.
They really did keep it alive here. And just watch the clever play here as they turn their backs. Tony Rampling, who flicks it out the back for Gillespie, and he heard a quick call, and Devine saw that Lazarus couldn't match it. The front rower couldn't stop the fullback.
And no defence coming across. It was only Glenn Lazarus, the front rower, the test forward coming across.
The 21-year-old barman gets to shout early in this Nissan Friday night match.
He needed to lift his confidence because it was his mistake that led to Canberra's first try.
Now Taylor from out wide. The roar says it all here at Campbelltown, the Magpies. They come back to lead 6-4. Meninga. To halfway with the restart. 6-4, West over Canberra. Bobby Lindner. Well, Wayne, we were talking about at the start of this match tonight, Warren Ryan and teams that he's coached. I couldn't remember him losing 4 in a row. When do we have to go back to officially?
Well, I spoke to Warren, and he couldn't remember exactly, but he believes it was back in 1979. It's the first time he coached in first grade at Newtown, but even then he wasn't too sure.
So, back into the 70s.
And ironically, in Newtown in those late 70s, early 80s, was a player called Dean Lance. He's the player that Canberra are missing in their forwards. They lack authority other than Lazarus in the forwards in defence.
Thomas. Rampling. He's coming from very deep when he charges on. Taylor. Gillespie. On the fringe of the rucks, they're starting to threaten. Taylor stepping up the middle, grabbed by Lazarus. The Magpies have only won 2 at home since '82 against the Raiders. Lindner. The odds well and truly their way. Henjack. Charge down. Gillespie's back there. He picked it up beautifully. He's wrapped up by Stewart, but gets it back. Taylor with the kick to the in-goal, McDonald. He'll get back to 10 metres away, and the Magpies this time, they weren't outside the 10.
So much for a referee, really, with changes nearly every year now to keep on mind.
Certainly, and of course he can't get any assistance in matters of what's happening on the field from his touch judges and his in-goal touch judge. It's all up to him. I just think that the touch judges could assist him a little bit on those players being inside on the 10 off the kicks downfield.
Lazarus, as far as the lower grades were concerned tonight, well, under 21's big victory to the Magpies, 26-4, and the Raiders reversed it in reserve grade. Walters. Dragging 3 players with him. Paul Langmack sideline with one of the trainers, Dennis Tutty. The kicking from the Raiders has been excellent. And nearly every occasion away from Devine. That finds touch 10 metres out from the west line. So Devine had no chance to get to that one.
Making few errors, the Raiders. The only major one, they put down a ball and it led to a West try.
Yeah, but it was very uncharacteristic the way they opened up, Graham. That is not a tight Canberra defence. They're having trouble, and of course they only just got home against the Gold Coast last weekend at home.
Well, Meninga showed his hand tonight already. He's determined to have a big one.
He has to.
Henjak playing it 15 metres out from his own line. Lidner with a strong run. That's where you can't push the pass. Lazarus out to Meninga through his hands. He scoops it up beautifully. Gets it out to Croker, and Croker 20 metres out from the West line. Meninga again, like a battering ram. He went right over the top of Lidden. Lowry. Head-on defence was excellent from Thomas. 5 metres out from the Magpies line. Stewart, Todd, Coyne through the gap stands. Ball was knocked down by West, I thought. I thought somebody got a hand to it.
I thought it was a forward pass.
Well, it went straight back to Coyne. Gale puts Wood into a gap. Finished off over the top by Gibbs. One more tackle for Canberra. Gale puts up a bomb. It's going to come down right near the posts. Devine, the only one who wanted to go for it. He took it well.
Scott
Right
Gale.
near the posts. And Devine it was that climbed above everybody. The Raiders, nobody wanted to duel with him at all. Now Rampling. Rampling just crosses the 22. Well, Johnny Croucher, what about the footy tab tonight?
Well, Graham, we've got the highest Friday night pool of this season with $48,000 to be won. The entries go for Canberra in a big way to win this, Graham. 60% for the Raiders and only 33% for West. And unusually high 7% have gone for a draw in this game. The footy tab computer it tips Canberra 18-22 for them and 8-12 for Western Suburbs.
Well, that's 60%. We'll be a little bit concerned at the moment. Now, McDonald, he decided to play for the ball. Wrapped up and taken well by Casado. Mullins. Casado with another tackle, a driving tackle.
West obviously know that if they can't beat Canberra tonight here with the side Canberra have in, they will never beat them in 1991. It's the youngest Canberra side they've put onto the field since their early days in the Winfield Cup. There are only about a half a dozen players that would normally be in their first grade side where all the full complement of players been available.
Lowry backslam by Gibbs. For Western Suburbs, there'll be no Paul Langmack, no Cameron Blair or Steve Jackson, so they're missing their big names as well.
They certainly are, but they're not missing the likes of Daly, Belcher or Clyde.
I wasn't trying to put them in that class, but so important to the experience of this Western Suburbs side and a ball player like Langmack.
Certainly is. Langmack will be having his say down on the sideline, as we've already seen tonight. There's young Jason Taylor, who bit of blood already coming from his mouth in the battle there tonight against his opposite, Ricky Stewart.
Taylor. Stewart didn't take the step. Casado. Still inside their 22, West. Lidner. Like Meninga is for Canberra, Lidner's trying to show the way with some strong running early. Rampling. West by 2, 6-4. Farah. Good kick away from McDonald. Plenty of time for his defence to get down there. So the kicking game from both sides is good.
This is Andrew Farah's third game back from a long spell out with injury, and he's certainly a key player for the Magpies tonight. If there is one player in the Winfield Cup that contained Mal Meninga, it's that man, Andrew Farah. Wealth of experience, heaps of premierships under his belt with Canterbury, and he's a great player.
Talking of great, a tremendous ball back from Lazarus for Meninga. Barnhill. If they're looking for a worker to replace Dean Lance, it's somebody like Barnhill. Stewart in behind the defence. Croker down there quickly. This has turned the Magpies around. The backs will have to take off some pressure here for the forwards. Devine does his share. Now the winger Burns. Lindner. Rampling. The Raiders are used to a bad start. Last year they lost 2 of their first 3. This kick straight to the arms of McDonald. Henjack is low, Lydon over the top.
Wes, there he is, Phil Gould, the Penrith coach, and of course Penrith going along great guns, last year's grand finalists against the Green Machine, and it was their first ever grand final. They'll be better for the run, and they've now served their apprenticeship.
I think you've got Billy's virus, have you?
I got his microphone, he left the virus behind.
Can you go and stand out in the corridor? The Raiders inside West Territory. Wood, Meninga, kick ahead will be straight to Devine. And Devine gets barreled by Meninga.
Got a good sidestep, Sean Devine, but he goes the same way every time. Knock on from the play the ball, and a penalty to the Western Suburbs side.
Well, Meninga's going to argue the point here as captain. He's having plenty to say. And he's trying to let Ian Barnaby know that he had nothing to do with it. Well, he put paid to Devine.
Well, young Devine hasn't got shin pads, and he certainly felt the full might of Mal Meninga's right boot. Interesting to see Big Mal playing without the plaster cast, or the cast that he had on his oft broken arm, and he looks better for it.
Looking very confident tonight. Now it's Burns. Rampling. 32 away, the Magpies. Playing at home in front of a big crowd. Great atmosphere for them. Gibbs fumbles and lets the Raiders off the hook for just a couple of minutes. Lazarus. Laurie Daly, one of the guns that Peter Peters was talking about. Some say destined to be the finest player in the world. Coyne. Todd. Right on halfway, and it's on the last.
Going out the Canberra forward, some of them you'd have to have a court order to get the ball off them so far tonight. Maybe they're playing to Phil, to Tim Sheens' plans, but certainly at this stage of the game, their forwards being outplayed by the Magpies.
Well, maybe it is that they just want to go out there and do some hard work and get their heads down early in a game. They've been struggling with a number of teams. Now it's Farah. A side as good as this can sometimes try and spread the ball too early. Rampling.
It's hard to win 3 premierships in a row, Graham, and I'm sure Wayne Pearce would agree that they are not the side they were come September last year.
No, without a doubt, there's just not the same penetration there. Although they're a good attacking unit out wide, when they get opportunities, you've got to lay the foundation in the forwards, and this particular forward pack just doesn't seem to have the same sort of thrust as the previous 2 seasons. And I think tonight against Western Suburbs, it'll be a good test of them to just see how strong they are, because this Western Suburbs pack really is full of muscle.
It was Gary Coyne who put a ball down that led to a West try. Now Gillespie's put it down. It's 6-4 to West. I wonder if we're about to see the Raiders strike back for their second try of the night. McDonald. Farah. A bit of a battle to put him down. Barnhill. Trying to wrap the ball on a short blindside. Gale. Taken by Lydner. Stewart. Coyne goes without. Lowry looking for support. Gary Belcher, the Australian fullback. Missing in the Canberra lineup as well. Meninga to the in goal. The chase is on for Croker. Devine there first. And he's taken only 2 or 3 metres out from his own line. They've been under a little bit of pressure now, Wes. Gillespie put a ball down. Now another tough set of 6 here to get it away from this area. Rampling past the 22. That's the sort of run they need. Gillespie makes sure of it this time.
Plenty of cheap yards there for Western Suburbs. They've gone from 3 metres out from their own line to 30 metres out. That's a horrible kick by Farah. It's a missed piggy kick, but it's found touch.
Now off the side of the boot, and the scrum will go down with West leading 6 points to 4. Magpies over the Raiders. The scrum just inside Canberra's half. Barnhill across the field, taken over the top by Graham Wynn. Out there for the Magpies on interchange. Coyne. Wynn climbs aboard to make a second.
But he's gone from red and white to black and white and tried to revive his career. And, of course, he's an impact player. And the interchange, while it lasts in its present form, and it won't be much longer, I predict, then he'll certainly be of value to Wes.
Stewart. Still really haven't seen whether Stewart has taken an injury into the match. Hasn't been tested. The chip taken by Devine, and Devine straight through. Devine to the outside of Barnhill, who had to tidy up that kicking from the Canberra side. Well, Barnhill's offside. He knew it, but his team was still struggling to get back. Just keep your eyes on Barnhill, who hasn't got to his feet, and he hasn't stood straight in front of Devine, and because of it all, professional foul will cost him 5 minutes in the bin.
Yeah, no doubt about that. He never attempted to get in front of the man that was about to play the ball. Good tackle by Barnhill, and I'm sure his coach Tim Sheens would be happy with his tackle, but not too happy with what he did after it.
Casado. Something's got to break here tonight, because West have lost both their home games, whilst the Raiders have lost both their away matches. A first for someone here. 13 metres out from the Canberra line, right in front of the post. Taylor, the big switch to Henjack. Farah, he couldn't drag it in. They've had some chances down here, and they keep on putting the ball down.
I tip Canberra, but I don't like them at the moment. If West can hang on to the ball for 6, they'll mount plenty of pressure on this Canberra side, which is right out of form.
Well, there's the story about Western Suburbs wasting those opportunities with their hands.
And therein lies the story, Graham, why Western Suburbs have spent most of this match in their own territory.
That's exactly right. The Raiders just casually take it back out near halfway, and then back for Stewart, or Wood for the kick. So now it's Coyne working up to that same situation. Stewart's there. Too much pressure on him. Still pressure on him. Well, he did well. He did superbly there to find some space. Now, was that ball knocked on? Did he drag that back towards the other line?
I think the referee was right. I think it went back towards his own goalpost.
Well, Devine's taking time to get up here. You don't have to be facing the other way. Well, it's line ball, isn't it? Line ball. The ball will be moved away while Devine gets attention. And Wynn is driven sideways by Lazarus. Still down, Devine. Rampling. It's up to West now to play the game of chess to set themselves for the kick. 6-4 to the Magpies. Henjack. Henjack out for Stephen Burns, back for Ainscough. Taylor with a good ball to set Farah on his way. Last tackle for West. Thomas up the middle. Big gap there for the hook. But he's taken, and it's a handover. There's a half chance for him if he could have got his hands free to keep it alive. Todd. Taken by Rampling.
And no one within cooey of Todd there taking the ball up, and the situation's exactly the same now as it's taken up on the opposite side of the ruck for the Canberra side by their second row forward, Mark Lowry. Just a lack of support for the men in green at the moment.
Wood. Sheens, what will he be wondering about? With no support play there for his forwards. Walters, poor pass out, hands it back to Western Suburbs. Lynn. Just get the feeling, with about 12 minutes away from half-time, that the mistakes that are creeping in, somebody's got to grab this game by the throat. That pass looked forward.
Certainly did, but the referee was well positioned.
Thomas, again out of dummy half, easily back for Wynn. Wynn, straight through, Graham Wynn, gets it away to Taylor. Taylor, the ball knocked down, offside is Todd. never put himself onside. Now, when he goes through the gap here, the call was coming from Casado to put it to the in goal, a kick maybe to the in goal. Instead, he went back inside and it was knocked down and Todd well and truly offside.
Young Taylor certainly shouldn't have any trouble with this, but Western Suburbs should be lining up for 6 points at this moment. They have frittered away some scoring opportunities in this game of football so far. Whilst they've been in their own territory, they have made several breaks through the Canberra defence. Canberra look a very frustrated side to me. Wayne Pearce.
Well, they do. They look a little tired at the moment, and they haven't done all that much tackling. They seem to be lifting themselves to defend when they're down on their own line, but they're not showing the same sort of commitment when they're up in the Western Suburbs territory, and that must be of some concern to Tim Sheens.
Now, Meninga had already been up to question Ian Parnaby again, so it's amazing what a difference a week can make in football. They got the penalties 15-3 last week, and now Meninga can't work him out.
Yeah, but they're not at home this week.
I wasn't going to say that. I'm glad you did. 5-1, they've got the penalties, the Magpies. This one from in front for Taylor. He stretches the lead at home here for the Magpies. West lead Canberra 8 points to 4. Friday night, and the Magpies leading the Raiders by 8 points to 4.
And for the third successive week, West look like going to the half-time break with a lead, albeit just a 4-pointer. But in the last couple of weeks, they've lost that lead in the second half, and Canberra the side to capitalise on it. Maybe they won't lead at half-time. They've spilled it already.
Well, this is a gift at the moment on the first tackle. You squander it like this. Wood, Meninga. Meninga dummying. Now he brings McDonald inside. McDonald still wrestling in the tackle. Meninga to dummy half. And it's finally the Raiders who start to make interchange through Stuart Stanton. Barnhill. He's had time to have a spell in the sin bin.
Canberra playing like a side that doesn't want to get dirty. They've got to get the King G's on at half-time.
Well, Meninga's been trying to, and he's 10 metres away. Littner's still down injured in back play after making the tackle.
And he's called for immediate assistance.
Stewart. They keep on testing out West with the bombs. Devine flying into it, loses it, picked up by Stewart, 6 more. This will be a tough test. Coyne. Run around with Walters. Coyne decides to go alone. What can the Raiders produce here? 5 metres to the side of the post. Meninga out wide's the go, they say. Wood. Gale, quick hands to Croker to the corner. That's tremendous play. Always a classical piece of rugby league. The call was heard from dummy half, and this was superb, Pete.
Yeah, it certainly was. Once again, spilt possession. There's Meninga's long pass out wide, and good hands by Scott Gale onto Croker, who is unmarked. Desperate attempt by West to get across Jason Taylor. Good try on the Nissan replay.
Yeah, Canberra always dangerous out wide. They had plenty of depth here. They also had the numbers because Bobby Lindner was down injured, as locked forward and couldn't make the extra man. And we see plenty of pace out wide there from Jason Croker, and he goes over in the corner.
Excellent hands, and Scotty Gale was under tremendous pressure here. The defence up quickly, and in the one motion. That was the key that set up the try for Croker to hit the corner.
Often criticised Scott Gale, but an excellent pass there. There's a good young player, 17 years of age, and what a thrill for him to come up into the champion side and score a try like that.
Now Lidner, on a stretcher, quickly to the dressing rooms. We'll chase a report up for you in just a moment.
Well, that's all that West need, isn't it? Another injury to one of their top players, and Bobby Lindner immediately called for attention when he went down. He knew he was hurt.
Well, another one. It's like a bowling alley.
Oh, and there's another player going off. That's Tony Rampling.
Now, Ian Parnaby has gone to the sideline. I think it's a spectator that's climbed over the fence, trying to interrupt here the kick to Meninga. He's been feathered by the Magpie. The Magpie, who I must say, now the cops are on the scene. And I must say something about the Western Suburbs mascot. I think is it this weekend he gets married?
Tomorrow. He's marrying a Kookaburra tomorrow. Catherine Kookaburra. There he is.
Good luck to him. He's been one of the best in the business as far as the mascots are concerned. In an arresting mode.
As long as he's not marrying Tim the Tiger, I'll be happy.
Meninga. From out wide, he missed one from right in front. And now he just misses from out near the sideline. 8-all here, Western Canberra. Goal kicking has been a problem for the Raiders, and Meninga didn't kick all that well on the Kangaroo Tour.
No, he certainly didn't. He didn't kick well in England. There's Tim Sheens, the man with a problem, but they can't go with anyone else other than Gary Belcher, and he's out of action at the moment. But that's the man that kicks under pressure very well, and I think come the big games, he'll be right back in top form.
At the moment, they're trying to do it in tries. Stewart gets it back for Stanton. Lazarus.
Vital 7 minutes before half-time now. 8-all. This game's there for the taking, and both sides wouldn't be all that happy with their form tonight. Their ball possession has been pretty ordinary so far.
Lowry. Well, Lindner has left the field. Rampling's left the field for Western Suburbs. Some real problems. Do you know the story, Wayne?
Yeah, it's a sorry sight for the Western Suburbs team at the moment to see perhaps their two best performers in the forwards tonight off the field. Bobby Lindner, unfortunately, some bad news for him. Suspected broken leg. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully that diagnosis is not too accurate at the moment. He's going to have x-rays. And Tony Rampling, well, he's got a bad cork thigh, so it'll be doubtful whether he'll be back on the paddock as well.
Well, it's almost like it's not meant to be, isn't it, for West?
Certainly, when you think that already Paul Langmack out for the season, Henjack's just come back, they get one experienced player back and lose another one, and the hub of their forwards in Bobby Lindner. That's a devastating blow to the Magpies.
Taylor kicking away from McDonald, rolling to the in goal, and a good bounce for West. They stay back there 10. McDonald across the paddock, allowed to run. Now finished off by Gibbs. Broker put to ground by Gillespie. A lot falls on his shoulders now. They need a good second half from him. Well, Coyne loses it again. Well, he's regained it this time. Twice near his own 22 in this first half. Coyne from straight up, hitting the ball up in the forwards.
The intensity of Canberra's got to be questioned. Meninga misses a kick in front. Gary Coyne spills 2 balls whilst in possession in their own territory. You wouldn't see that in 3 seasons.
Magpies. Dimmock, 10 metres away. Right in front of the post. Thomas to the forwards. Gets a good ball to Linton. Only needed one more pass and Devine would have picked up his second. Still, they stay left. Taylor turns. He's only a couple of metres away. Ian Parnaby went rolling into the end. Goal out wide. They put it down. They've cost themselves dearly in this first half.
Graham Wynn making the mistake. The pass out wide from Thomas. And Graham Wynn straight in the breadbasket and spilled it with a try line only a couple of metres away. But he wasn't running onto it. He was like a traffic cop on the corner of Pitt and George.
Against the feed, Taylor gets it up quickly. Henjack, out wide they go. Wes Ainscough gets it out to Casado. They could be headed to the break with the lead. Only about 4 minutes away. They might have some men off injured, but out wide they're finding it, Pete.
There's nothing wrong with their courage. Here's the Nissan replay. Scrum win against the feed. Good pass by Jason Taylor. Look at little Henjack bring them in. And then this is the pass that brings the try. Over the top by Ainscough. Into the arms of his winger. And into the try, the man with a name like an ice cream, Tony Casado.
Well, Canberra was set here to win the ball, so therefore they were looking to attack. When Western Suburbs won the ball, they didn't know what to do. And in fact, Henjack here just takes on the defence. A little probing run there from Ainscough. He lofts the ball out wide, and good finishing from a winger, Tony Casado.
Casado gets the Magpies online here at half-time. 23 years of age, formerly from Parramatta. What a try for West just before the break. This ground has come alive again now. All the fans are here in the Western Suburbs in big numbers tonight.
That's a good effort from West, because with their 2 gun forwards out, Lindner and Rampling now in the dressing room and having serious injuries, for them to hit back like that is a is a tribute to their courage. They're going to fight all the way tonight.
There was the angle for Taylor from out wide.
And this kid can kick.
To try and bring it around, bend it around from the right. He's got it on line. The Magpies, 14-8 over the Raiders. Plenty to celebrate for the cheer squad and their fans as they showed real character out here. Meninga back to halfway. Inside the last 2 minutes before half-time. Henjak traps it. Now he gets it back to Dimmock. It's been almost error for error inside their own 22. This is where West have got to make sure of it.
Both sides have been made pay, haven't they, when they've made errors inside their own territory.
Lynn. They've been presenting each other with chances.
A lot of that, Graham, comes down to the tough defence too, particularly from Western Suburbs. They've forced a lot of errors from this Canberra side, a lot of errors that you wouldn't normally see.
Now they do it well. Just to work it up the middle and to give the angle for Farrer on the kick. McDonald.
West led St George 14-2 last week and shut up shop early in the second half. Now, if they do that tonight, Canberra can come back and get them. There's another error by Canberra. This time, Phil Carey knocking on from dummy half. I hate wingers and centres going into dummy half, and that's what happens when they go in there.
Well, Phil Carey was off before he really had the ball.
That's one of the downsides of the interchange. He's only just come on. It's fairly cold sitting on the sideline, and he hasn't held the football in his hands.
Barra. I doubted whether Canberra were really back there 5 metres from the scrum in that instance. The chant going up around the ground here at Campbelltown. They want another try before the break. Time's against them.
What about a field goal attempt?
That will be just as important and something you normally expect from a Warren Ryan coach side. That nearly looked forward as it was handed off to Thomas. Now Gibbs, Henjak and Taylor, where are they? Time is up just about. Charged down by Gale, knocked on by Dimmock. And Carey, I think Carey might have it. No, he's lost it again. Knock on against West.
Well, Taylor had a crack, but they got the ball back, 6 more tackles, but immediately knocked on by Dimmock.
Gale to feed the scrum. Wood, Meninga. Up the middle. No one could be disappointed with the Canberra skipper's performance in the first half. Stanton shows good footwork to beat Farrer. Meninga still looking for work before the break. He's lost it. Ball went back. Mastered by Ainscoe and Burns. There's the siren. A tremendous reception coming up for Western Suburbs here. A packed house at Campbelltown will see them off the ground with a lead of 14 points to 8. But as Peter said, they've been leading in recent matches. We'll be back with a lot more from Campbelltown right after this. For the Magpies in 91. They've led at the break and given it away in the second half. Thomas shows just how determined they are to stay in front. Barnhill to the 22. 103 first half tackles for the Magpies. Liddon was 16. Rampling with 13. Canberra 99. Lowry and Lazarus. The real workers there.
I'm sure Warren Ryan has told this Western Suburbs side that for the first 10 minutes of this second half, they've got to really dig in and tackle. That's where they've lost it in the last couple of weeks, and if it happens again tonight, then they can kiss 1991 and all the hopes of 1991 goodbye.
Devine, taken by Stanton. Casado off his wing, up the middle. Liddon. Hit strongly by Lazarus. He bounced off that, tried to keep going. Gillespie. Gillespie's the one that must lead the way in the second half. Win. running strongly last tackle.
Gillespie lifted his game once Bob Linder went off, and that's a sign of a class player, and he'll really put in the second half.
Now Croker. Well, Wayne, you played under Warren Ryan for 3 years at Balmain, and I guess early on he would have told them that was the normal Warren Ryan policy, to head to the post, maybe a field goal early.
Yeah, for sure. He likes to get that point, particularly on half-time. It's just valuable to give you that extra breathing space. But I'm sure the thing that he'll be, which he did do at half-time, and he instructed his side to continue to move up in defence and punish this Canberra forward pack, because they are looking for the Western Suburbs defenders.
And you also mentioned to harass Stewart. They did it just then now, and it's Meninga who will have to get the kick in. He rushes it, but he gets a good kick, trapped by Devine. Straightening into the arms of Matt Wood and also Barnhill. Farrer up the middle. The overall possession just to the Raiders.
One of the best players in the game to close the game up when you've got a lead is Andrew Farrer, with his kicking game and with his strong running, just as he showed there.
This isn't Western Suburbs of last week, where they came out and were shot by St George in the opening minutes of the second half.
And it isn't Canberra of last year either. Opening up like that around the dummy half position, you wouldn't have seen that last year.
That's been happening all night, Wayne. They just have not been tight enough there, and they are missing Dean Lance and his crashing defence so much that I think it's hit home already, just a month and a bit into this premiership, that they're going to do it tough to patch up that area.
Jason Taylor, it's his night out here. Taylor from just outside the 22.
Meninga still talking to the referee, being waved back.
Well, it's got to be a headache for players week in and week out. As we said last week, they got the penalties from this same referee.
Look at my hand here.
15-3.
Yep. George is talking to his side and really concerned with the penalty count against them at the moment. But it must be frustrating to get them. There they are, 6-1 the penalties, after they didn't concede one in the entire second half against the Gold Coast last week, with the same referee.
It would be disconcerting, Peter, because Tim Sheeds prides himself on playing within the laws of the game.
That's a real worry.
It's a worry with this kid kicking.
And about 10, 12 metres to the side of the post and just out from the 22. This could be some real comfort zone. It certainly is. The Magpies 16-8. The Magpies came up with one against the feed in the first half. Meninga from 5'8", ran over the top of Henjack. 13 metres out, Canberra. Quick play the ball from Meninga. McDonald down a blindside with a switch. They were awake to it. Gillespie stayed there. Stewart. Todd. He was missed by Thomas. Stewart once more, going wider. Coyne stepping. Coyne up the middle. 10 metres away. 16-8 West. Stewart. Wood. Meninga. Meninga puts Gale into a half gap, but it's closed quickly by Casado. Last tackle, the defence has been good. Stewart. Off a West player, 6 more. Gibbs is screaming. He didn't feel he played at it. Barnhill. 5 metres out. Stewart. Gale. They still can't break this line. Lazarus trying to draw the defence in, then catch them out wide. Todd put it down. You've really got to hand it to the Magpies' defensive line.
Yeah, that's great defence. They were looking up at 10 tackles there, close to their goal line. They never wavered one bit. Todd had a bit of a bo-peep for an international player. That shouldn't be, but he had a look before he took that ball, not getting back deep enough.
And West out to the 22.
It's surprising there that Canberra didn't use their back line in situations like that. It's unusual not to see them spread the ball wide and try and go around the defence.
Well, they tried up the middle. No success.
Wayne, they're playing like a side that's used to winning, looking for the bloke alongside them to do the job.
Yeah, it's all right to have plenty of talented players in your side. Admittedly, they've got a few on the bench, but they've still got plenty in their team. But you've got to have desire as well, and that seems to be what's lacking at the moment. Western Suburbs are far more hungry.
And they're showing it as they trap Canberra down near their own 22. Mullins trying to get up and play it quickly. You can't argue with a penalty against Barra. He had been tackled once, trying to get to his feet, and Barra put him down again.
Yeah, the youngster out-conning one of the best con men in the game in Andrew Farrow, who can really milk a penalty. But young Mullins there did a good job for his side, got the penalty, and Meninga should put the Raiders back on the position to attack.
Todd. Stewart. Lazarus. Heavily put down. Stanton. Well, nobody was sure who was supposed to get it.
Couldn't quite work out the ruling.
Barnaby gives this penalty, I think, against the double markers and not staying directly in front of the man playing the ball. Meninga. Well, that tells you something about their goal-kicking woes. He was about 39 metres out and right in front.
Yeah, well, it might be that they're panicking a little bit too, which is unlike them. They're 8 points down, and they desperately need a 4-pointer, and he hasn't had any success with his kicking tonight.
He still had 30 minutes up their sleeve. Barnhill taken strongly. Now they're deep in the back line. Wood. Gale. Meninga went inside him. Gale tries to get it back to him. It's all being left. Well, Coyne is having a horror night with his hands. The little chip from Stewart. Was he impeded? No, said Barnaby.
The referee was right.
Players don't have to get out of their way. Burns. Real frustration. Would you have gone for goal, Wayne?
No, I would have kept some pressure on there. What Ricky Stewart, what was intending to do, I'm sure, was to put the ball in the in-goal area, force the line dropout, and keep the pressure on Western Suburbs.
So now, down for McDonald, bouncing away from him, awkwardly. Mile of time for the Magpies to get down there. Ainsco's got him. Mullins. Beats Liddon. Taken by Dimmock. They just can't put it together, the Raiders. It's almost like they're totally relying upon Meninga to get them started.
Yeah, they're relying on Meninga and Ricky Stewart and the players we mentioned at the start of the game. This man too, Steve Walters, who hasn't had the game that we expect of him. But you've got to give full credit to Western Suburbs tonight. Their defence has been first class.
Now they should trap them down here. Devine. Stanton is there covering. Stepping inside, Meninga was sweating on him. Farah's back there quickly. Farah finds a gap, and that's too easy. 13, 14 metres right up the middle. Liddon. I think the Magpies feel as though they're taking control well and truly.
Yeah, they knew that at half-time with a 14-8 lead, and now it's extended to 16 points to 8. They've lost, as we keep reminding the viewers, that they've lost several games in the second half, but I think tonight they're going to hang on to this one.
No Bob Liddon and no Rampling, both injured. Great effort from the Magpies. McDonald. Henjack is low. Henjack makes another one. 2 gone already. Stanton. They're being forced to run one out in the forwards. It was never ever the Canberra game. Situations like that, Todd would normally have somebody on his hip. Barnhill. That's a good strong run to get a 32 away. Stewart will have a mile of time. Hoping for the ball to bounce to the sideline, it doesn't. Devine stops. Can't get away from Gale.
He loves to come back to his right, doesn't he? Almost every time. It's he veers to his right. Meninga picked him up a few moments ago, already wise to it. Western Suburbs, good lead for them, and this game's theirs. If they can score next, then they can rack up the 2 points.
Win. Well, they've been making that advantage line and just wearing away at Canberra. Taylor trying to urge this to the sideline. It won't get there for him. Mullins.
The writing's been on the wall for Canberra. They trailed the Gold Coast 12-2 last week. A Gold Coast without Wally Lewis, I might add. And it was only when 2 players from the Gold Coast were in the sin bin that Canberra hit back. So on form, Western Suburbs were right in this game, and Wayne Pearce picked that at the start of the game, and they look like proving him right.
Well, the way they're playing, they do. I mean, defence like that can win any match, whether it be against the last place team or the top place team. And the defending premiers are really struggling.
Stewart, a dummy. Now a switch for Lazarus. Run around. Lazarus tries a dummy. Gets it back. Barnhill puts it down. Well, here is the chance right here and now to put Canberra away. Now, Thomas really tried to milk this penalty.
Oh, he milked it, but that's experience, isn't it? And that's what you buy when you buy a player like Joe Thomas or Andrew Farrer. It was significant to note that the young fellow Ains could come up. There it is in the play, the ball. He just played it forward and obviously called for the penalty. And there's no doubt about it, the Canberra players...
Was he marked?
Well, there were 3 of them there. You can't have that many there. There were 3 markers.
Well, there wasn't 3 markers. Walters was still trying to get out.
Well, there
were
3 loiterers. And they all got booked.
And are they about to pay the fine?
Oh, they'll pay the fine. I can't believe... I think Glenn Lazarus is one of the finest young front rowers in the world. Looking at him there, the big fellow is not playing like he played on that Kangaroo Tour and like he played last year for New South Wales, Canberra and Australia.
Well, he had injury problems in the pre-season to try and get him match fit, and he's obviously well overweight.
Yeah.
4 from 4 for Taylor. And he might get the fine here. And the fine is 2 points. Taylor, 100%. The record stays that way as the Magpies get it to 18-8 over Canberra. Friday night football, and the Magpies lead by 10 in pursuit of a victory that they are desperately needing. Casado. Coyne just dropped the shoulder into him. They need a bit of a miracle here, Canberra. Still a mile of time. They probably need someone like Laurie Daly. Wynn wrestled to the ground.
West growing in confidence. Canberra growing in frustration.
Demick. Taylor. McDonald with another straight line in front of him. Mullins. They'll have to go a long way now for tries, Canberra. They'll have to start spinning the ball. Lowry. Stewart goes wide. Gale. Meninga. Meninga fumbles. They were nearly away, Wes.
And just note how quickly that Western Suburbs defence moved up. They're super keen.
Gillespie. Gillespie 12 metres away. This could put the Raiders to sleep. A try.
I think they're 9 eyes already.
Taylor gets it to Burns. The gap closed very quickly. Only a metre away. Taylor calling all the shots. This time it goes astray. Wood. Taken by Henjack. Quick thinking from Stewart, but the ball had gone forward. Mullins picks up. It'll come back. Now Tim Sheens is a very worried man up in the grandstand. His side showed their frustration. with that pass to Stewart.
Here is Stewart, clever little player that he is. He just put his foot to the ball. He couldn't pick it up. It was down around his bootlaces, and he wanted to play on there. Tim Sheens very rarely shows any emotion, but I would think that inside tonight he'd be churned up a little bit on this display.
Taylor with the feed, most importantly for West. Blindside, Henjak gets it out. Casado gets another one, does he? No worries. The Raiders in trouble, the Magpies on fire. A nice clean feed out of the scrum. The Magpies were gone, Pete.
The Nissan replay, up the blind side, look at Stewart. Taylor, beautiful pass to his captain, Henjak. Look at Henjak, the experience of Henjak. He probably left it a little bit late. He could have scored himself.
A dangerous place for a scrum here. 15 metres in from touch. Henjak called the ball. He drew the defence very, very well. Brett Mullins in no man's land. And Tony Casado, who's had an outstanding game, scores the try.
And Casado, a man that almost was killed on this football ground when playing for Parramatta a couple of seasons ago. He swallowed his tongue, and tonight coming up with 2 tries. Cameron Blair was the young West man that went to his aid, and that's one of the great stories in the last decade of rugby league, how that young man has bounced back and is playing the game he loves after almost losing it right here on this ground when playing for the Bull and Goals.
Henjak is just telling his side there on halfway how they've got their nose in front and they intend to well and truly wrap it up. Taylor from everywhere tonight, out wide, in front, 100%. Let's wait for a roar. Almost in disbelief, the big crowd sighs, but West 22-8 over the Raiders. Taylor makes his way back. And this great crowd here. And a new ground record, I think it is, out here. 13,129. We've said it before, a great job by the West Committee. They've entertained the crowd, plenty of things for the kids.
Yeah, and they've stuck with their side too, Wes, and that's great for the supporters, because in the last couple of weeks they've played really well and got beaten, and they sensed a victory, and they've come along tonight, and well, you can't knock over a side with more medals behind them in recent years than the Green Machine.
Gillespie. Reminder about Big League on sale this week at all newsagents and at all the grounds. The story about Brad Mackay trying to make a late charge to win back his State of Origin spot.
Well, there's a mock on the locks at the moment, Graham, and certainly both Queensland and New South Wales without their top locks at the moment. Linden's out, and Bradley Clyde's got a long way to go to get back.
Well, it throws it way open, doesn't it, for the Queenslanders?
Certainly does, and for New South Wales.
Talking of injured players, another one, Belcher.
I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Laurie Daly ends up locked for New South Wales, if indeed Mackay doesn't make it back.
Well, that's another player who's got to get fit, isn't it?
Certainly. Laurie Daly.
Stewart. Stepping around, but I think he's lost it. Now he's got it back. Meninga. Chipping, and good thinking for Croker. The bounce just favouring, he throws it way infield, but nobody was there. He could have done with some support there, surely. Down on a little bit of enthusiasm, and especially their support play, Canberra, which was a wonderful habit of theirs, always somebody in position.
For West to win this game, they had to get superiority in the forwards, and they certainly have, even without Linda and Rampling. They have controlled the rucks. Gillespie's played very strongly. There's a good pass out wide to Burns from Gillespie, and he has risen to the occasion tonight with a couple of good players out.
Taylor. McDonald over his head. Taken by Ainscoe, he gets away from that one. Another big one for you tomorrow, Zorb. Your favourite side on deck.
Yeah, the Brisbane Broncos, and they'll have a tough game against North Sydney at Caviar Park. It should be a beauty tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. And the Broncos, of course, looking forward to winning a few games away from Lang Park.
51 tackles in the opposition half for the Raiders, only 26 for the Magpies. Makes you think in the first half, West let plenty of opportunities slip. Lowry just grabs it at the second attempt. The Raiders haven't really looked as though they're going to bust this line in the second half. They rely now on a midfield bomb. Stewart down to Devine. He fumbled, and Stewart did well to get it back. 6 more tackles. Quick play of the ball here could be interesting. They need to go left, the Raiders. Walters had to get it out of there a lot quicker than that. Now, it's still on, but Lazarus puts it down. They had the overlap there. It is not the Raiders' night.
No, certainly not. Normally they would have swallowed that one up. They are masters at changing the point of attack and attacking from drop balls, and there was a golden opportunity there a season ago. We'd be just watching Chicka Ferguson come back now after scoring 4 points, but he's not there.
Taylor. Last few minutes, none of these kicks have gone out. That's the closest they've got. Inside the 10 metres.
And that's the rule of the weekend, without any doubt, for round 5 of the Winfield Cup. We've seen it about 4 or 5 times tonight. Here's young McDonald going back, sizing up where the defence is, and quite happy. I would have thought that the Western Suburbs player was almost 10 metres back there and waiting for McDonald to run at him in Tony Casado, but the referee ruled otherwise.
Lazarus. Real mission to play the ball, and Walters with one of those dashes of his from a dummy half. Taken well by Devine. Stewart. Gale. Looks infield for Meninga. Meninga still going. Keeping the ball alive. Ainscough makes sure that it doesn't go anymore. Lowry. Taken by Thomas. 22-8 West over Canberra. Barnhill. Last tackle. Forced to kick again. Now they decide to run it. Meninga floats it out wide. He was trying to give a little bit of a head start to Croker. Couldn't drag it in. There was a half chance out wide, and Croker couldn't hang on. Burns was chasing quickly. But it's all West. Farah. (11-9) the handling errors against Canberra. Thomas gets it back. Casado. Taken by Lowry. Walters flying over the top. Devine gets attention for the second time in the match. Penley in the play the ball against Lowry.
Well, they're totally frustrated, Canberra now. Once again, problem in the play the ball. Lowry.
Well, I said Lowry, it was Steve Walters.
Yeah, it was Steve Walters, but Lowry was also close up there, and the ball ended up at his feet, but the referee has penalised Walters and then marks him another 10.
They've had a lot to say tonight, Canberra.
Been very un-Canberra-like, hasn't it?
It has.
They're very frustrated.
Well, they are, but I think, well, I guess you tend to expect more from them, Wayne.
You do, I mean, but you're still talking about a side without Belcher, Daly, Clyde, Gaffey. They've got a lot of players to come back, but they still should be keeping their heads. They're just letting the frustrations run away with this match.
The worst part about it, Junior, is that the players that they expected to go well tonight just haven't been able to lift them.
Yeah, of the senior players, I suppose Mal Meninga has been the best performer.
Now win. West want another try, and so does this 13,000 crowd. They'll settle for a goal. Right in front of the post.
Graham Wynn, the player, Lowry, the man giving the penalty away, and also behind was Steve Walters again. His second penalty inside about well, 45 seconds. And Steve Walter's a very experienced player. He is totally frustrated there, and it's just goal-kicking practice now for Taylor.
I still think it's the same thing as we were talking about earlier, about getting a 5-to-1 share of the penalties one week and getting absolutely hammered from the same referee the next. 5 from 6 from Taylor, lapping it up. In the opposition half, Wests have received 5 penalties. The Raiders just the 1. Taylor. The Magpies are putting a real dent in this scoreline. 24-8 over the Raiders. Dimmock. Great display of character from Western Suburbs as much as anything in this match. They lost Lidner with a broken leg in the first half. They've got the scrums 8-6, they've got the scoreline, but they're missing a lot of talent through injury. That's the importance that underlines this fine effort from them in this Nissan Friday nighter. One of those gone for the year is Paul Langmack. He's joined Wayne Pearce sideline.
Well, Paul, Western Suburbs went into this match treating it as a grand final. He must be pretty happy with the way they performed.
Oh, for sure. They showed a lot of character today. Leading at half-time. We've led at half-time the last 3 games and been defeated, but today experience come through with the experienced players.
You've been champing at the bit on the sideline here trying to get out there. When, in fact, will you be back?
Well, Merv Cross and myself are set August. The 1st of August is the comeback date. And hopefully West can make a charge for the semi-finals and they can play the last 4 games. Andrew
Farrow's had an outstanding game tonight. He recovered from a similar injury to you. What do you feel about his performance tonight?
Oh, well, I think he really has come on in confidence in the second half. He's run hard and tested his knee, and it's the best medicine for it.
Thanks for talking to us, Paul, and all the best with your comeback.
Thank you.
So maybe there might be some good news for Langmack and Western Suburbs late in the season.
Well, it's a long way for them to go, but he'll be a handy player come August.
They've crossed the specialist with knee operations in this town.
He's getting plenty of work because it's one of the big injuries of 1991 with all the gang tackles.
Well, it's the injury of the 90s. Here comes a bomb. Right on the line for Devine. He puts it down, but it went back, and he had time to regather. Well, he stays down again. He climbed aboard, and even though he fumbled it, no one was behind him.
I've been most impressed with Sean Devine tonight. He's been peppered with bombs all night. That was one of the few spills that we've seen from him tonight, and he's been very, very, very strong.
Good runner of the ball too, Wayne.
Yeah, his counter-attack has been outstanding as well. I mean, Canberra, that's another area that Canberra have been let down tonight. They haven't had the chasing game that we normally see from them.
Well, there's only 5 minutes remaining.
That man at dummy half now, Joe Thomas, has had an outstanding game for Western Suburbs. He's dictated play. He's darted away from the dummy half when he's had to. He's controlled the rucks excellently for Western Suburbs, and he's passing to Farah for Farah to clear. Farah and Taylor has been excellent.
And the kick from Farah goes down to McDonald. Carey. Farah trying to gather him in. He can't. But Gibbs on one sideline, it was David Gillespie. On the far side, it's his second row partner, Gibbs, who comes across, and it's the wingers who are having nightmares for Canberra.
Good tackle by Rambo, and of course he can see a winning bonus coming his way for the first time. He doesn't get anything when Western Suburbs don't win. He gets about $1,500 a win, and he'll be able to buy some minties tomorrow on this.
24-8. West over Canberra in a big way. Henjack. Inside the last 5 minutes easily. Farah. Dimmock. Lydon. All the West forwards have lifted their effort. Taylor. Thomas gets it to Dimmock. He turned, looked for support. No one was there. Last tackle. Thomas with a little bit of a dummy. Well, if Lydon or anybody had have read that, there was a chance to get an overlap out wide and maybe run it on the last. Now somebody's had something to say from Western Suburbs. No, they threw the ball away, trying to slow the play down.
I think it was David Gillespie throwing the ball away in frustration more than anything else.
Well, they haven't got much to be frustrated about, West. The money's coming their way. And, more importantly, 2 Winfield Cup points. Stewart.
There's some players in this Canberra side of the lucky there's a big injury toll in the camp, because they'd be getting a 1:30 start next week against Manly. They really are down on their form, some of their big names.
Carey taken by Farah.
Brent Todd in particular, if he's going to be in the Kiwi side this year, I think there'll be a lot of giggling going on in the Australian forwards, because he just hasn't performed tonight.
Stewart. He finds a runner in Stanton, but the pass was forward. Stanton had a chance through the gap, but after trying to pass from the wrong side here, didn't appear to be a lot in it.
Full credit to West. Their defence tonight has been outstanding. They've put in and they've really worked for 80 minutes for the first time in a couple of weeks, and it's going to pay dividends for them.
Henjak. Caught from behind by Gale.
He's inspired them, hasn't he, the little fellow?
He caught one for his trouble from Gale originally. It's not worth it now, with only about a minute and a half to go. Win. Todd over the top. Henjak's having a lot to say. Gillespie. Well, West have taken it to the defending champs and shown them the way home. It'll be a long trek back to the nation's capital. Taylor. Taken well on the run by McDonald. Carey. 60 seconds of frustration and pain left for the Raiders. Meninga.
You've got to give it to Meninga. He's really put in tonight trying to inspire his side. He knew with the players out he had to have a big one, and it hasn't been through lack of trying on his part that Canberra are going to go down in in embarrassing circumstances tonight. Not often the champions get beaten by a scoreline like this, but full marks to the Magpies. They've flown high, and given that Magpie supporter of theirs in that bird suit, a real going-off present for his wedding tomorrow.
Well, he is going off, isn't he?
Well.
Win puts it down. Todd. Mullins. Gibbs has got him. Stanton. He's made the most of his chances tonight when he's got out there on interchange. He might be looking down the nose of a first-grade berth. The crowd roars for the siren. To the in goal. Carey's on the chase. Carey gets a spectacular try. Right on the siren. It will affect nothing.
Yes, the siren had gone just about the time that Mal Meninga had the ball, and then the kick through by Ricky Stewart and Phil Carey, very experienced player, former country representative, played with Manly after joining the Sea Eagles from Newcastle, and a very experienced player. Picked the ball up well, beautiful kick.
It was all too late, but nevertheless, the points are on the board, and I suppose, if nothing else, it helps their for and against record.
Well, the roar went out. Carey gets a try. What about the referee calling time?
I think that that try was scored after the time should have been up. As soon as the siren
goes, roar, just as they were playing the ball.
Exactly right. He should have called time off straight away. Thankfully, it hasn't had anything to do with the result of the game.
Would have been an interesting one.
They would have torn the joint down.
Brick by brick. Meninga. He missed one from in front to start the night. Still can't get a goal. The Magpies, with their backs to the wall in round 5 of the Winfield Cup, produce a sterling performance at home in front of a big crowd. 24-12. Devine and Casado got 2. Taylor 6 goals. No goals at all for the Raiders. Stewart, Croker and Carey And the chant is going up here at Campbelltown, right around the ground, as their heroes come back to the sideline. A tremendous ovation coming up for them. Some big money was spent by their committee in the off-season. They get something back tonight.
And how would you like to have taken West and been brave and taken West to win by 13.5, and that last try's put you out of business, and it shouldn't have been allowed.
That's important now on Footy Tab. We're coming up with that and a whole lot more after the break, including a difficult selection out of a great side tonight, as our Nissan man of the match don't go away.
Great show of character by Western Suburbs, wasn't it? A terrific performance amongst the forwards, and that's where our Nissan man of the match was. Joe Thomas, you lost Bobby Lindner with a broken leg. Tony Rampling went off hurt. Great character from the side, really.
Yeah, well, we trained all week on this sort of performance. We were a bit disheartened by losing Bobby and Tony, but the boys got together when they scored their try when it drew at 8 all, and we made a promise to ourselves that we weren't going to let them get away with it.
Well, you've been leading at half-time and going to sleep in the second half. You didn't do it tonight.
No, well, Graham, last week it was a big mistake coming out 14-2 at half-time against St George. We let them off the hook, and this week, as I said, behind the line, we made sure that we weren't going to do it again.
OK, $1,000 coming your way tonight from Nissan as our man of the match. Well played.
Thanks a lot, Graham. And I'd also like to make a special mention to our sponsor, Jim Marston. Thank you very much.
OK, thanks, Joe. You've just done it. All right, our Dally M points also tonight. 8 points to Joe Thomas, 7 points to Gillespie, and 7 points also to young Sean Devine, who was good at the back. And you can read all of the Dally M points in Monday's Telegraph Mirror. And, of course, also you can stay in touch with 10 at the end of the year. The Dally M Awards are coming your way on 10. And our Dally M Gold Player of the Year will be driving a fabulous Nissan Pathfinder 4x4, $25,000 worth of machinery. That's the prize for our Player of the Year. And talking about prizes, what about the Footy Tab? Let's just check the dividend right now. Put your money where your mouth is. Footy Tab. Johnny, how many mouths get fed tonight?
Well, Graham, wasn't such good news for most of the Footy Tab punters tonight with the favourites going down, but it certainly was good news for the hometown side, with Western Suburbs having a big win, 24 points to 12. We still had 217 winners, and that provisional dividend was still pretty good, $218.95.
Well, Warren, plenty of pressure going into this match. Anything special about the build-up?
Well, not really, Wayne. Only that I made them train one extra night. I made them train last night because I didn't think we were quite ready. So
I didn't think you usually give any teams rest.
No, it's been a pretty severe week and pretty intense week in many respects, because we knew that if we if we didn't win tonight, well, we're really looking at a long haul to chase the leaders. So at least we keep our points moving along.
Plenty of pluses there for Warren Ryan, aside, I guess, from the injury to Bobby Lindner. Peter Peters, not so many pluses for Canberra.
Certainly, very few pluses for Canberra. They're not playing like the champion side that's won 2 in a row, going for 3. They're playing like a side that's tired, waiting for the other man to do it. And, of course, they've got a lot of injuries, Graham, but they're a champion side. They'll come back once they get their stars back.
You and I are about to tiptoe out of the West Room tonight.
Yeah, we certainly were. We didn't tip West tonight, but you really couldn't on the last couple of weeks. They've done fairly well in recent weeks, but Junior got it right and Bradman got a duck too, I remember.
OK, thanks, Pete. Plenty more coming your way on 10 Sports.